You're doing intermittent fasting to live longer, but there's a real chance you're doing exactly the opposite. Not from lack of discipline, not from eating the wrong food, but because of a specific set of mistakes in the protocol that nobody told you about, mistakes that activate the same molecular aging pathways that fasting was designed to shut down. Mistake number 2 on this list is the most common, and it's the one that most people who've been fasting for years still keep making without knowing it. But mistake number 7 is different. It's the most silent, the most overlooked, and according to the latest research, it may be the only mistake capable of accelerating your cellular aging even if you get everything else right. Y'all want to listen to this one until the end. Think of every cell in your body as an apartment in a big city. During the day, the city runs at high speed: production, consumption, movement. Garbage piles up everywhere: damaged proteins, defective mitochondria, accumulated metabolic waste. At night, when the city slows down, the cleaning crews come in, the garbage trucks, the urban cleaning system that nobody sees but that keeps the city functional. In your body, that cleaning system is called autophagy, and fasting is what starts the trucks moving. The problem is that most people are fasting in a way that keeps the trucks from ever leaving the garage. The mess piles up, cells age faster, and the person believes they're protecting themselves when they're not. These are the 7 mistakes. Let's start with the one most people are making right now. Mistake number 1, your fasting window is too short. 12 hours of fasting seems like enough. It isn't. An article published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 2019 detailed the mechanism with precision: the depletion of liver glycogen, which is the signal that triggers autophagy in a meaningful way, occurs between 10 and 14 hours of caloric restriction. Before that, the process begins, but only at a superficial level. What this means in practice: if you have dinner at 8 p.m. and breakfast at 8 a.m. the next morning, you're at exactly 12 hours. Autophagy has barely started by the time you've already interrupted it. The minimum window for real cellular cleanup to happen is 14 hours. The ideal point, based on multiple studies, is between 16 and 18 hours. But here's what nobody tells you: it's not just the duration that matters, it's what you do in the first minutes after ending your fast. And that takes us straight to the mistake most people say they'd never heard before. Mistake number 2, you're breaking your fast the wrong way. You spend 16 hours fasting, autophagy is activated, your cells are in maximum cleanup mode. Then you eat a piece of fruit, a natural juice, a slice of whole wheat bread. And in less than 15 minutes, it all stops. The reason is biochemical and direct. Any insulin spike activates the mTOR pathway, the body's main anabolic switch, and the same one that fasting was suppressing in order to activate autophagy. mTOR and autophagy work in direct opposition. When one goes up, the other goes down. Research published in Biochemical and Biophysical Research Communications went further. Even some artificial sweeteners like acesulfame potassium activate the mTOR pathway through specific signaling cascades, suppressing autophagy in liver cells, even without a single real calorie being consumed. You spent 16 hours building a state of cellular cleanup, and you destroyed it in 15 minutes with a glass of juice that seemed healthy. The first meal that breaks the fast should be made up of protein and fat: egg, avocado, sardines, foods that don't trigger a sharp insulin spike. The protection window doesn't end the moment you eat, it ends the moment insulin rises. Mistake number 3, your eating window is at the wrong time. Most people doing 16-8 eat between noon and 8 p.m. seems reasonable. But there's a variable that this protocol completely ignores: your circadian clock. The human body doesn't process food the same way at every hour of the day. Insulin sensitivity is highest in the morning and progressively drops throughout the day. At night, the body is biologically programmed to slow down, not to digest. A study published in PLOS 1, using data from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, analyzed the relationship between meal timing and inflammatory markers. The finding was specific. Every 10% increase in the proportion of calories consumed at night was associated with a 3% increase in C-reactive protein levels, the main marker of systemic inflammation in the body. Chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the central mechanisms of accelerated aging, and you may be generating that inflammation every single night while believing that fasting is protecting you. The eating window that maximizes the benefits of fasting isn't just any 8-hour window. It's a window that starts early, between 8 a.m. and noon, and ends before 6 or 7 p.m. at the latest. This is what researchers call early time-restricted eating, and what the data shows to be superior to the standard 16:8. Here's where it gets even more surprising, because the next mistake has nothing to do with what you eat or when you eat. Mistake number 4, you're sleeping poorly during the protocol. Poor sleep isn't just tiredness, it's accelerated aging at the DNA level. Telomeres are the structures that protect the ends of your chromosomes. Think of them like the plastic tips at the end of a shoelace. When they get too short, the DNA starts to unravel. Telomere length is one of the biomarkers most used by science to measure a person's true biological age. A study from the Whitehall II cohort, published in PMC, found a direct association between short sleep duration, less than 5 hours, and reduced telomere length in healthy men. The likely mechanism: poor sleep raises nighttime cortisol, and chronic cortisol exposure reduces the activity of telomerase, the enzyme responsible for maintaining and repairing telomeres. In other words, every night of poor sleep is shortening the protection of your chromosomes, regardless of how many hours you fasted. And here's the specific problem with fasting. Some people report worse sleep at the start of the protocol, especially when the eating window ends too early. If you've been sleeping worse since you started fasting, the protocol may be causing more harm than benefit in this particular respect. The solution isn't to abandon fasting. It's to make sure the eating window is calibrated so it doesn't compromise sleep, and to treat sleep as part of the protocol, not as a separate variable. Mistake number 5, you're under chronic stress during the fast. This changes everything. Cortisol and fasting have a complicated relationship. In a state of rest and low stress, fasting reduces inflammation, suppresses mTOR, and activates autophagy, exactly what you want. But when cortisol is chronically elevated, from work, from anxiety, from conflict, the picture changes completely. Chronically elevated cortisol activates gluconeogenesis. The body starts breaking down muscle protein to manufacture glucose. Combined with fasting, this means that instead of promoting protective cellular cleanup, you may be promoting catabolism, degradation of muscle tissue, without adequate replacement. Sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss, is one of the most direct markers of accelerated biological aging, and chronic cortisol combined with fasting is one of the most efficient combinations for speeding it up. Fasting isn't neutral to context. It amplifies whatever state the body is already in. In a calm state, it amplifies recovery. In a state of chronic stress, it can amplify damage. Mistake number 6, insufficient protein during the eating window. Fasting creates an environment of controlled catabolism. Old and damaged cells are dismantled. This is beneficial as long as there's material available to build new cells during the eating window. Protein isn't optional. It's the raw material for muscle reconstruction, collagen synthesis, enzyme production, DNA repair. Current research indicates that adults over 35 need approximately 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day to preserve muscle mass, especially in combination with fasting protocols. Most people who fast consume less than half of that. The result over the years isn't a younger body. It's a body that has spent years dismantling muscle tissue during fasting without ever properly rebuilding it. Accelerated sarcopenia, compromised metabolism, thinner skin, more fragile bones. Fasting without enough protein doesn't rejuvenate the body, it consumes it. And now we get to mistake number 7, the only one that by itself can cancel out the benefits of all the other 6, even if you get them completely right. Mistake number 7, your fasting schedule is inconsistent. Monday you do 18:6, Tuesday you eat all day because you had a work lunch, Wednesday you go back to the protocol but shift the window by 4 hours, Saturday you break the fast 3 hours early because it was a birthday. Seems reasonable. Science shows it's destructive. The human body operates on circadian rhythms, 24-hour biological cycles that regulate everything from hormone secretion to body temperature, from gene expression to cellular metabolism. These rhythms are calibrated, among other factors, by the fixed timing of meals. When meal timing varies significantly from day to day, the result is what researchers call metabolic jet lag, the same phenomenon of circadian misalignment that happens when you travel across time zones, but produced daily by the inconsistency of meal timing. A 2015 study published in PLOS Medicine showed that rotating shift workers, who chronically live with metabolic jet lag, had significantly accelerated inflammatory markers, insulin resistance, and biological aging compared to fixed-schedule workers, even with equivalent diet and physical activity. Chronic circadian misalignment is, on its own, an aging accelerator. An inconsistency in fasting schedule produces exactly that misalignment, every day, silently. It's not about doing the perfect fast every day. It's about doing the same fast every day. The body doesn't need perfection. It needs predictability. The circadian rhythm responds to the pattern, not to an isolated effort. Before wrapping up, nothing said here replaces medical guidance. If you have diabetes, a history of eating disorders, a heart, kidney, or liver condition, or take ongoing medication, talk to your doctor before starting or modifying any fasting protocol. The content here is about general cellular function and aging mechanisms. It doesn't treat, reverse, or prevent any specific condition. The correction protocol is straightforward. First, extend the window to at least 14 hours, preferably 16. Second, break the fast with protein and fat, never with sugar or refined carbs. Third, position the eating window earlier in the day. End it before 7 p.m. whenever possible. Fourth, treat sleep as part of the protocol. Without sleep, fasting works against you. Fifth, assess your level of chronic stress. During periods of intense stress, consider temporarily shortening the fasting window instead of sticking to an aggressive protocol. Sixth, calculate your protein intake. Fasting without enough protein ages you, it doesn't rejuvenate you. Seventh, and most important, pick a fixed schedule and stick to it. The consistency of the rhythm matters more than the duration of any single day. The garbage trucks in your city run every day at the same time. That's why the city stays clean. Your cellular cleanup system works the same way. If this video changed how you see fasting, hit like and subscribe. That's what keeps this channel bringing you real science, no shortcuts. Tell me in the comments, which of these 7 mistakes were you making without knowing it, and which one surprised you the most? And if you want to understand what happens at the molecular level during the first 12 hours of fasting, hour by hour, what changes in your body, that's the next video.